Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, Minister Jonathan Simmons, and we thank God for those of you who have joined us here on every particular portal. We thank you so much for tuning in to the live broadcast, and we thank you so much for joining us here tonight on the broadcast. We got good stuff coming on because there's lots of sports news breaking. Already social media is buzzing with the question about Kyle Pitts and what's going to happen with Julio. So we're going to be talking about that later on in the broadcast. We also will be talking a little bit about the Braves. We're talking about, of course, the Atlanta Hawks balling out in New York and the Falcons. Everyone thinking, what on earth is going on with Julio Jones? Well, every time we bring this sports show on, boys and girls, you know what we have to do. We have to bring one of the most beautiful women on sports talk radio and TV right now. She is known as the Queen, Miss Trae Dolman. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you. Good to be seen. Great weekend in sports.
Oh, yeah. A lot going on.
Absolutely. And we are excited that we're going to be talking about, like I said, again, we got a great guest coming on to talk to us a little bit about her nonprofit, Miss Alva Jones, stuff she's doing with the youth. And also, like I said, again, we're going to talk Braves, talk Hawks, and kind of interesting take on the Hawks. They did what they had to do. All right, we're going to do something a little differently. Normally, guys, we go to football later on in the broadcast, but we have our main man. He is a two-time, that's right, not one, but two-time Super Bowl winner. First-round draft pick of the Carolina Panthers out of Fort Valley State. Now, the defensive back over at Clark Atlanta University. The one and only Mr. Tyrone Poole, number 38, is in the building. Welcome back, sir.
All right, how we doing? How's everyone doing?
We're doing.
How are you doing?
There we go.
There he is.
Yeah. How's everybody doing? How you doing, Miss Trae?
Doing all right. How you doing, Tyrone?
Doing excellent. How you doing, Minister Simmons?
In the house, brother. We're happy to be here and good to see you
Yes,
here on the broadcast, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Well, guys, we're going to do this. We're going to talk a little bit about what's been happening with the Braves. We expect Brian Jones to join us in just a little bit. But before he does, I guess we might as well jump right back into the talk of the Atlanta Hawks. Trae, first, what is your thoughts about the Hawks winning Game 1 in dramatic fashion?
Well, I'm so excited, but we all know you can't get too excited because you win one game. But for them to go into playoffs, and this is most of their first time in a playoff game, and go into Madison Square Garden and win with that crowd says a lot. So I really think that if they can go in tomorrow and win as well, that will be awesome. I love that they were using the negativity that the fans were throwing at them, and they put it right back in their faces. So it's going to take a lot of hard work to get it done. But I think that if we can go and play better, because we need to hit more shots than what we hit last time and make more stops, then I think, we can actually go ahead and get it done.
Mr. Tyrone Poole, what are your thoughts about the Hawks' big win in New York?
Wow, I'm very excited for the Hawks. 3 reasons why I am. Number one, they took the first game. And anytime you're doing a series, whether it's baseball, basketball, or you playing whatever, the first game is always the important game because that sets the tone. So right now, the Hawks are up. They basically have home field advantage right now. And also what I like about the Hawks win is that they went on the road. So if you're going to win championships, you got to be able to go into someone's backyard and beat them. And then the last thing I like about it is the fact that the Hawks got a go-to player when it comes down to it. And every championship team on any level, when it comes down to it, whether it's 3rd and 1, whether it's 4th and goal, somebody got to come up and make a play. And the Hawks got that go-to player in Trae. So I like the fact that on those 3 strong points, I think the Hawks, maybe they're going to shake, rattle, and they're going to roll.
Yeah, no doubt. It looks like they are going to be a tough out as we go forward into this playoffs. And I tell you, and now all of a sudden, the whole year, let me go ahead and put on what we saw from the national media before the playoff win. It seemed like they were wearing shades when it came to Atlanta Hawks. They couldn't seem to say anything good, but mysteriously now, after a dramatic shot by Mr. Trae Young, suddenly he's big-time baller. I mean, now he's the man. I mean, I saw on, I guess it was First Take this the other morning. It's like they kind of around the Olympic theme. They had this big deal where they said, okay, we're going to pick players bronze, silver, and gold. And for Hawks fans, I know you guys got to feel good because Luka Doncic was the guy they gave the silver medal to. But guess who got the gold medal? Mr. Trae Young. Why? Because he was the guy that hit the game-winning shot with 0.9 of a second left to go. He's a bad man.
And then he shushed them.
What? What you know about that? He said,
that's the old shaft. He said, you better shut your mouth.
shut your mouth. What you talking about, boys and girls? And I know, Mr. Poole, that's got to sit well with you because your whole thing has been, hey, listen, you can talk some smack, but at first better be some winning before you do your talking.
Oh, no doubt. But again, like I said, it's the playoffs, and this is a new season. Anyone, even Miss Tree, she'll tell you, when you go into extra innings, when you go into the next level, this is where the big-time players show up. And the reason why I think maybe that a lot of people are not talking about the Hawks, like you kind of alluded to a little bit, is that when you look at the stats across and around the NBA, you don't see a lot of the Hawks' names up there. But, again, this is where you make a name for yourself. And this is where Trae Young, he's going to make a name for himself. Big-time players step up in big-time games. Now, the key is going to be once Trae Young reaches that plateau, where the Hawks let him go to?
Ooh.
It seems to happen like that all the time. Whenever the Hawks got somebody that's about to become a big star, they get rid of him.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's just me. That's just me. I don't know.
It's not just you.
Shoot, man, I don't know, but you done said a mouthful there, brother. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Let's go to social media real quick. Pastor Daniel Fagan, Fresh Break Ministries. We appreciate you, brother. He says the Hawks finally look like an NBA team. And he said, I'm glad of that because he is a hometown guy all the way. Going back to social media, Minister Fagan again is saying, hey, the Hawks have great role players and they enjoy playing together. I think he summed it up pretty nicely, guys. What do you think?
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. It takes a team. It takes a team. I will always use the Chicago Bulls as an example. You got to have the Batman, you got to have the Robin, and then you got to have everybody else that fits in and fill in. So the Hawks right now, that's what they have. Trae Young, he is the guy that when it looks like when it's going to come down to the end of the game with seconds left, draw up a play, put it in Trae Young's hand, and everybody else throughout the game, just do your thing. And just like Scottie Pippen said in The Last Dance, when the Bulls were playing, I think, with the Jazz, he said they were told to get the ball to Michael and everybody just get out the way. So
Get out the way.
Get the ball to Trae Young and everybody else to get out the way.
Oh, no doubt, man. Speaking of Trae Young, I'm gonna try to get this real quick, guys, if we can. Hopefully, prayerfully, this thing will come up this time, and we can play this, guys, for you. It's interesting. We're listening to the Hawks in their post game press conference. I'm gonna bring up our good buddy Brian Jones in just a minute. I see he's in the studio, but there was definitely the Hawks feeling some kind of way. You know, normally, players always say, Tyrone, that hey, we don't pay attention to the press. We don't care about that. But there's no question that the Hawks were feeling some kind of way that nobody was giving them their just due at all. It was a constant like, hey, everybody talked about Luka Doncic, they talked about all these other teams, but nobody was talking about the Hawks. And then you think about it, the year before, Trae Young was an all-star. He got a complete snub, even though he's the top 10 in the league in top 15 in the league in scoring. He was in the top 5 in the league in assists, but this guy mysteriously goes off of the radar because he wasn't, kind of scoring all the points for the Hawks. Speaking of that, let's just hear what Mr. Trae Young has to say about it himself. Let us now go to the videotape.
And as a fan of this game, looking at it from afar, you don't necessarily get to see those years of those teams that are going through rebuilding stages, and you don't know the behind the scenes of when you lose, and the emotion behind losing, and not getting to experience the best part in the postseason. It's definitely tough, and so for me, just knowing how hard it is to get to this position, and having to really literally build our team to get to this position, it's it makes it that much more gratifying that we're here, but not satisfied for sure though.
What would you say was the toughest part over these past 2 seasons, just not being involved in the playoffs?
I don't know. For me, just watching, I feel like I just haven't got the recognition, and some guys on our team, we just haven't got the recognition that we deserve, but it comes with winning. And I know that, and I've known that since the beginning. And I think that's the most frustrating part, is when you don't get the recognition you feel like you deserve. But it's, we're here now.
Well, as you can see, he was feeling some kind of way. There's no doubt that this has been something in the minds of all the players. John Collins said the same thing, and I think that was a driving force behind the way they came out and really played a dominant game against the Knicks, coming from behind the forecourt and pulling out. And it is, NBA would like for the Knicks to win so they can match them up with the Nets. There's no doubt about that. There's no question that the NBA has preferences with their type of matchup, but the Hawks have got to say something about that. Well, let's go here to our main man that is in our green room. He's a good friend of the show. The guy is a great sports writer, but now he also has been for the last couple of years not only getting involved with sports, but also involved with pop culture. You know, he's our good friend Brian Jones is in the building. Brian, welcome back, buddy.
Great to be back. How you guys doing?
How you doing, sir?
All right.
Good. Thank you for asking.
Brian, man, it's good to see them pearly whites back out here, man, on our show, brother. Good to see that. There's that a megawatt grin right there. Yes, sir.
There you go.
Well, look, man,
it's great to be back.
What was your take here on the Hawks and that big win they had in the Garden?
You know, I thought this was going to be a competitive series. I thought that the Hawks are the better team, but with the Knicks being back in the playoffs, I knew it was going to be a competitive game. And, you know, the Hawks were able to start off pretty strong, and then the Knicks were obviously able to go on their run. But I think when it was all said and done, you know, Trae Young obviously was able to make that big play at the end. And I think the way he played throughout that entire game really stood out. And that was the big reason why the Hawks won. And the fact that he was able to shush the crowd at the end of the game, that's something that he's done in college. So he feeds off stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in game 2. I expect the Knicks to play a little bit better, especially defensively. But I think it would be great for the Hawks to be able to come out even stronger and win game 2. You didn't necessarily get your best efforts or your best performances, I should say, from some of your key players, whether it's Gallinari, Bogey, even Clint Capella left some rebounds out there, as well as John Collins didn't score any points in the second half. So the Hawks definitely have room for improvement. So I think if that happens, then I think they definitely have a chance to win game 2. And if that happens, State Farm Arena is definitely going to be rocking in games 3 and game 4.
No doubt it is going to be off the chain. And again, this guy put up some nice numbers last night. Again, let's kind of review him again. Trae Young, 35 minutes, put in 32 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. But, of course, the most important point was that 2 that gave the Hawks the win with 0.9 seconds to go. So big kudos and big shout out to him. Trae, what did you take away outside obviously the big win? How did you feel the Hawks played defensively?
I think they did all right. I agree with Brian. It's the same thing that I was thinking. It definitely wasn't the best performance, but we did enough. But I think that for game 2, you know, it's going to be harder, I think, to win game 2 than it was to win game 1. And I think that there's motivation on both sides, but I really feel that if the Hawks can definitely go out there and play their game, and I think once they're getting their rhythm of shooting, that'll help them also with the great defensive plays. And I think that the crowd being electrifying, even though it's against them, that also motivates them to play well. So I'm really hoping that they can go in and that it won't be as close for game 2.
Yeah, Tyrone, you agree with that take? Anything that you would like to see the Hawks do maybe differently in game 2?
Well, again, I know we're all talking about Trae Young. You look at the number of minutes that he played, 35 minutes, 32 points. Now, when you go to look at the rest of the team, there's a big drop off. It's almost like half. It's a drop off of half. So I'm looking at people like John Collins. You played the exact same minutes, 35, but he only came up with 12. And Clint, he did 35, but he's more big rebounder type guy, had 9 points. But I think if the Hawks are going to continue to move on down the road, somebody else is going to have to step up and help Trae Young out. If not, he's going to be worn down before the Hawks can even get to a championship game to try to get to the finals.
Yeah, no doubt. He's going to need some help. I like I said again, this team, they did show me a lot. Being able to come back from behind in that fourth quarter, the momentum, it all shifted to New York. They had come from behind themselves and had taken a decent sized lead. And the Hawks they did what they've done all season. They really showed that they are a confident team, and they're a team that can play in the clutch. And can I tell you something? I'll be honest with you. This is the first time in a minute I've seen an Atlanta team play well in the clutch. But boy, because usually it's like, oh. So I'm excited about that. And just the fact they were able to do that in game one with that crowd, first time that John Collins talked about, it's the first time they had played in front of a full crowd the whole year. And then to be in the Mecca of basketball in Madison Square Garden and with Spike Lee and all the crew right there in front of you, man, I got to give them Hawks some love. Well, speaking of love, let's go to social media real quick. Yeah, it did. Coach Hardy said the key factor will be the bench, and the acquisition of Lou Williams has been great. Brian, you saw Lou Williams. He was almost a point a minute.
Yeah, I think getting Lou Williams towards the midseason was big for the Hawks, and I think having that a backup guard, a veteran backup guard, it was really beneficial for this team the second half of the year. The way that Lou Williams played is something that they're going to need the rest of the playoffs. And it was interesting because I was listening to Trae Young talk about Lou Williams, and while he was in the game, they were the coaching staff was looking to put Trae Young back in. But because of the way Lou Williams was playing, Trae Young said, let him play because he's on a roll right now. And it just goes to show you, the trust that they have in each other. And I've followed Lou Williams ever since his days at South Gwinnett. And I remember when he decided to declare for the NBA draft, there were a lot of doubters who said he wouldn't amount to anything. And he's put together a really successful NBA career. So I really like Lou Williams, what he's done in his career. And I think he's going to be continue to play a key part in the Hawks playoff run.
Yeah, you look at Lou Williams' stats, 13 points, 13 minutes. Tyrone, addressing what you're talking about, the guy was a point a minute. He was like instant offense. I mean, and really, this is what I think is what Brian pointed out, the unsung nature of Trae Young. See, a lot of guys would have said to themselves, all right, you know what? There's pressure on me. I'm the guy that they kind of threw shade at. Nobody respects me. I'm going to show them what I'm about here in postseason play. But what he saw was he had bought into what philosophy that Coach Nate McMillan has, which is this is a team. We're going to win as a team or lose as a team, and we're going to play the guys that are doing the job at the time that they're on the court and root for those guys. Not like, oh, like I said, again, I'm the star of the team. No, it's like, hey, even Bogey Bogdanovic said the same thing. He said the one thing that Trae does is that he is not afraid to let others take the shining star on the stage. Because speaking of Bogdanovic, after playing a miserable game for 3 quarters, okay, the turning point of that fourth quarter was that huge 3 when he was about falling out of bounds to tie that ball game. And they had another 3 late to keep the Hawks ahead. So this team, if they can get that over a full game, they're going to be tough out.
Yeah, and I get that point of, the team ball and, let's spread the wealth. But you know what? There are certain sports that you can't go like Outkast would say, what's cooler than cool? Ice cold. So you don't want to mess around and sit on that bench too long. And you try to get back in the game, and now you rimming everything. So I think the key going to be how can we get the hottest of the hot on the court and keep them on the court at the same time. Because I understand the team thing, but again, you got your go-to player. Trae Young is his team. He got to be out there because at the end of the game, who are they going to design to play for? Trae Young. But again, the key for great coaching great players, you got to get them to play at the same time. And I think you increase your chances. But I understand the team philosophy. But again, Outcast, what's cooler than cool? Ice cold. So you don't want to go ice cold.
Wow. Okay. Well, I don't even know how to really respond to that, except to say that whatever happened, it worked because it came down to when the Hawks actually needed buckets late. They went to Trae Young. Even though he wasn't hitting three-pointers, he continued to drive the ball right down their throats. And, of course, the game-winning play was a drive. Let's go here quickly to social media. We got a glory to God. That's right. You know, the preacher's always happy with that. Hey, man. Oh, I can't believe it. We've run past the break. All right, guys, you're watching the Real Talk Sports Show. Don't go nowhere. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Stay tuned. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Well, check out Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln in Morrow, Georgia. We have one of the largest inventories in our area for both new and pre-owned vehicles, so we're sure to have something for everyone. Family owned and operated since 1982, customer satisfaction is our number one priority. Come see our full lineup of vehicles and find the one that best fits you. Give us a call today, 678-726-5739, or shop us 24/7 online at allenvigilford.net. Shout out to those of you, again, who are tuning into the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, Minister Jonathan Simmons. As we go around the horn, you'll see here Brian Jones from Fort and from popculture.com. Right over next to him, Tyrone Poole, two-time Super Bowl winner and defensive back coach for the Atlanta University Panthers. And, of course, last but you better know not least, the one and only Queen herself, Ms. America International 2020, the lovely Miss Batista Coleman in the building. Well, guys, we're going to shift gears now. Great stuff as we can see going on with the Hawks, but also we're starting to see somebody heating up over there in Truist Park. Brian, have the Braves bats now finally awakened or what?
It looks like it, and yeah, it took a while for them to get going, but you know, based on the talent of this team, you knew that they were going to get going offensively. I think the one player that's really stood out is Austin Riley, who was just named the National League Player of the Week. He has been red hot. He's fifth in the National League in batting average. He's hit 7 home runs and 17 RBIs in about a week and a half or 2 week span. He's just been playing out of this mind, and he's been a guy that the Braves have high hope for. They drafted him in the second round not too long ago, and he's starting to live up to those expectations. I think the fact that he's not competing against anyone for that third base position has really helped him. And he's been a big reason why the Braves are starting to turn things around a little bit. Obviously, Ronald Acuna, he's tied for the major league lead in home runs. Freddie Freeman's starting to come around. You're getting good production out of Dansby Swanson. So overall, offensively, the Braves are improving. And then you're also getting improvement for your starting pitching. You're getting quality starts despite being out Huascar Ynoa and Mike Soroka, who could be out for the rest of the year. You have a solid bench. And as for the bullpen, that's still a work in progress. So things are starting to look up for the Braves. They're actually leading the Boston Red Sox now 2-1. So it looks like that they're turning that corner, which is good as they wrap up the month of May and head into the month of June.
Yeah, and how important is it, man, for Braves fans to stop panicking? I mean, yeah, every day, like, these guys go, oh, yeah, oh, my God. I'm like, dude, I mean, like, even with all of the stuff that's going on with the Braves, and I hope my mic is okay, with all the stuff that's going on, I mean, this is a team that's in the thick of it in the NL East.
I think what benefits the Braves right now is, the NL East is so average. The Braves are a game under 500, but they're also just a game behind the first place lead because no one has taken that step forward to take control of the division. I think when it's all said and done, because when it comes to the talent, the Braves should be able to get first place. I think they could be first place by this time next month if they continue to improve. And they're not playing. They never really have played bad baseball, considering the injuries that they've had, and it's just been frustrating in the sense that the Braves are losing these games by 1 runs. They haven't won too many extra innings games. I think Braves fans are just frustrated with the bullpen and how Brian Snitker is managing the bullpen. I think that's the only real flaw with this team right now, but it looks like it's coming around a little bit. So, yeah, Braves fans, they're frustrated, but it's so early in the season. They're not even at the halfway point yet. So, at this point in 2019, the Braves were maybe a game or two over 500. So it's just a matter of them going on a run, and I think they will go on a run, and they should be able to take control of the NL East just because when you look at the other 4 teams in the division, the Braves are the most talented despite the injuries that they're dealing with. So I'm not worried about the Braves right now.
Tyrone, you've been through this with the Patriots. You guys have had regular seasons which have at times look a little mediocre. What are some of the things that you guys had to do to kind of not only keep you guys focused, but also, and to some degree, keep the fans, like, hey, chill out.
Now I ain't gonna say them mediocre. Now I ain't gonna let you.
Wow.
We started out hot. We finished hot. Now what I can say is this right here: utilizing football as an example. Just like Brian said, in football, we would always say, you get to the halfway point of the season or a little bit past half. That would usually be about 10 games. They got a 17-game season now in football. But I think it's kind of like the same way in baseball. 10 games into the season in football, usually you get these teams that start out the gate real hot. And then get around week 10, week 11, they start falling off. As they say, the cream rises to the top. The contenders start to rise up. So I see the same thing what Brian is saying. So for all of the Braves fans, like Jesse Jackson would say, keep hope alive, keep hope alive. So, but at the same time, you want to win. You want to win. Every game you play, you want to win. Now, when you look at the power rankings for baseball, Major League Baseball, all 30 teams, the Braves right now sitting at 18. So that lets you know what a lot of other people are thinking about the Braves as well. But again, the Braves got to win at home. They got to win at home and they got to win on the road. I think they're 13 and 14 at home and half 500 on the road. So, they can pick things up pitching. And, of course, Freddie Freeman and Acuna, those are the power hitters, and to get the pitching going because you win championships in baseball with pitching.
So you mentioned those two guys, Acuna and Freeman. Let's just look at their stats. They're not hitting much for average right now. That's been a big problem with the Braves. But Ron Acuna, like you mentioned, Brian, leads the league, 15 homers, 31 runs batted in, 272 batting average. Freddie Freeman, right behind him with 12 homers and 29 runs batted in, but batting probably about 80 points below what we expect from Freddie. He's batting a paltry 238. Albies the same way. Guys got 25 RBIs, only batting 236. But the shining star, as you mentioned, has been the red-hot Austin Riley. Again, being able to focus just on third base. 9 homers, 21 runs batted in, but more importantly, a stellar 316 batting average for Mr. Riley. So, yeah, no doubt the Braves are, I think they're a team to be reckoned with. I think that there's a good possibility they're going to go with some type of move as we get towards the middle of the season to get a quality veteran pitcher like they did a couple of years ago when they brought in Keuchel from, I think it was either Chicago or San Francisco, and it made a big difference. And I think you're going to see the same thing this year.
Yeah, I think so. Alex Anthopoulos is known for, making these moves, and the Braves are doing a good job of being discreet about the moves they make, whether it's free agency or in a trade. And I think the pitching is the way to go because they want to add more depth there, especially as I mentioned, they're down Mascarino and Mike Soroka, but they are getting good quality starts from Charlie Morton, Max Fried, who came back from injury, has pitched really well. Ian Anderson is a candidate to win Rookie of the Year. Tucker Davidson, who's a prospect, one of the Braves' top prospects, had a quality start, even though in a loss, I believe, last week. So these guys have stepped up when these injuries have gone, when the Braves have dealt with injuries at the pitching rotation. So, but I do see Alex Anthopoulos, the Braves general manager, making a move no matter where they are in the standings, because they want to make sure, because they're in the position where they look at themselves as the World Series contender. They either win the World Series or it's a disappointment. So they're going to do whatever they can to get back into being relevant in October. And again, the good thing about where they are now is they're only a game out of first place in the NL East. And I think the talent that they have, they're able to get back in first place in the division and make a run at another World Series. So I think the second half of the year for the Braves will be really exciting for fans. And I think they'll really enjoy it.
Trae, I saw those eyes kind of flutter a little bit when Brian said back to the World Series. I mean, do you think the Braves have a legitimate shot to get there, or you think they need some help?
No, I definitely think they have a shot to get there. So we'll see what happens. Of course, I'm rooting for my Detroit Tigers to go, but if the Braves can get there, I think that's great, and I definitely think that they have the ability to do it.
Okay, all right. Now, Trae, we all love you very much. Okay, but our show is based in Atlanta. Okay, okay, we're based out of Atlanta.
I realize that.
But you make sure whatever sport it is, I guarantee you guys, Trae is gonna get. Oh, is someone from Michigan playing? Okay, then I like them. I'm just going for I don't care about Atlanta, but hey, listen. At least you keep it real. You're like, hey, this is where I'm from, and this is who I back. So I guess I can't be mad.
No, you're right. I do always keep it real, and I'm rooting for my Detroit Tigers, number one. But like I said, I also do like the Atlanta Braves, and I do root for them too. So.
All right, we're gonna end it right there, guys. All right, listen, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back. You know what we do now at the halfway point of the show? We always like to let you guys know about somebody who's doing something good in the community. If you want to find out, you gotta keep it locked right here on the Real Talk Sports Show. We'll be back with more. Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions, or shop 24/7 online at allenvigillincoln.net.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
All right, we are back here with the Real Talk Sports Show. And of course, before I go any further, I want to give a big thanks to all those of you who are watching on the replay on Periscope, those of you watching on demand on YouTube, and those of you, of course, who always watch us on Facebook. And we got a couple of people that have even watching us now on Twitch now. So we thank God for those of you who are doing that. And speaking of social media, let's go to social media for just a second here. And we have our man, Mr. Todd. He can't wait to talk some football. He's already talking about the big incident with Julio and Shannon Sharpe. Todd, don't go away, brother, because we'll be talking about that in just a little bit. But before we do, like I said, our show is a little bit different. We bring you sports from a little bit different perspective. And that perspective is we want to give a big shout out to those people doing some great things in the community. We have a young lady who's going to introduce herself to all of you right now. She's doing something wonderful. She's going to talk about her wonderful nonprofit that deals with children, and I should say the youth, not really children, and helping them to do better and be better. The lovely Miss Alva Jones, I believe, is in the building. There she is. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Well, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much.
Well, tell people a little bit. First of all, introduce yourself and your organization, and then we're going to ask you a little bit about what you guys have going on.
Okay. Well, my name is Alva Jones, and I am an interview coach. I am the CEO and founder of Breezy's Youth Staffing Agency, and we are an agency where we commit cultivating connect youth and at-risk youth into the workforce. And we do that by teaching two wonderful workshops. The first workshop is how to master the art of interviewing. And in this particular workshop, basically we teach the do's and don'ts of an interview. We teach the definition of an interview, the purpose of an interview, and of course we go over communication, which will be verbal and nonverbal. And then we also work on the youth with styling and attire. We make sure that they do know and do have the appropriate attire for them to wear on an interview. Also, we do mock interviews. We also, teach them the do's and don'ts of a resume, how to write a winning resume, and we also give them words that they should include in their actual resume so that companies will be able to distinguish their resume from others. Also, we go over follow-up calls, the importance of an actual cover letter, and then if we do have any open positions, then we will try to either get them staffed with an intern, a volunteer program, or actual employment. Then after they have been gainfully employed, and if they still need a little bit of assistance and help in how to maintain themselves in corporate America, then we teach a course called How to Be Professional in the Workforce. And within that course, we teach conflict resolution. We go over customer service skills, phone etiquette, how to deal with, your co-workers, and we also do networking, and we do have some computer one-on-one classes with Microsoft Word, Excel, and Outlook. So, we love what we do. I've been in existence since probably around 2008. I just really turned everything over to an actual nonprofit, and we specialize in the age group of 16 to 24. And the reason that's kind of our specialty is because upon, research, companies do have a little bit of issues or problems when it comes to hiring the younger generation, lack of professionalism, lack of good communication skills. They have no clear vision. They don't really know what they want to do, so they job hop. And I know some of us adults do the same thing, but when a company, orders your computer and they get your name tag, they get your training binder, and then when the next good thing comes along, maybe 25 cents more, then you jump ship. So it puts the company in a bind because now they have to find someone else to fulfill those shoes. Also, they don't have a lot of skill, so it is said that some of the younger generation don't possess the skill set to be in certain roles. So therefore, if they put them in that particular role and they make huge mistakes, then it can cost the company money. So we just want to make sure that the youth are trained in every area as far as getting the job and as far as keeping the job. So we commit, cultivate, and connect youth and at-risk youth into the workforce with those two workshops.
Okay, we gave us a lot of bullet points there to kind of digest and talk about. So let's try to just break them down just a little bit. So you talked about, this organization. I think that most people always want to ask the first thing. I think you touched on just a little bit. What is the why? What drove you to create this particular agency and now nonprofit?
Well, what drove me to create this particular agency is that I've always loved to help people. And I've always been one to always been a go-to when it comes to jobs, when it comes to referrals, and helping people be successful in an interview. So just upon my research, I've always worked with all ages, but when I broke it down in research to ages 16 to 24, then just, the reasons that I listed, the why was they have no clear vision, they don't have the skill set, and they lack professionalism and effective communication. So within Breezy's, we wanted to make sure that we train them while they're young, between 16 and 24, because we believe that if we can change those whys around, to something positive and get them into the workforce, then they're more than likely to listen and remember starting at age 16 versus 44 and 34.
So Trae, I saw you kind of nodding your head a little bit. What do you think about that concept of really kind of getting the kids in those teenage years?
I think that's wonderful. One thing that I hear when I talk to a lot of even adults, is that they get so nervous when they go and interview for positions. Even I was talking to one of my neighbors, and she was even saying how she was preparing for an interview. So I think it's great that you're starting our youth when they're 16 years old. And I also love the different things that you guys are teaching them. So a question that I have for you is, for somebody who first starts the program, how long does it take for you all to get them ready for their first interview?
Okay, well, right now we're on Zoom, so the time frame is maybe about 2 days. We normally have our sessions, and everything's on the website. I'll give that at the end. It's every other week on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So we teach the courses on Monday, which we go through everything that I just indicated in reference to communication, attire, styling, mock interviews, resume writing. And then Wednesdays, if they need help with us taking a look or gander at their resume, then we do that. And then we practice the mock interviews every other Thursday, because I'm a firm believer that I don't go over the interview questions on Monday and Wednesday for those 2-day sessions, because you may not have an interview for another week or two, and you may have forgotten some of the things that we've talked about. So whenever the youth and young adults have an interview, then they have the option to come back and sign up for the mock interview course every other Thursday. And then we'll run through, some questions that are normally asked in an interview.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt. It is something that is everything that you're talking about here is just huge, and especially in today's job market. Brian, what do you think? You start off as a young guy. What do you think about having a program like this, to kind of get these young people started?
I think it's a great idea. I think if I no problem, and I think if I had something like this, that would help me a great deal. Interviews are not easy. It's something that the last time I dealt with it is 2 years ago when I was transitioning from 24/7 Sports to Pop Culture. The good thing about that was I was still interviewing with positions and jobs within the CBS umbrella. So the interviews went fine, but I just wish I kind of had a little bit more experience with interviews. So a class like this, when I was, 15 years younger, I think would be very beneficial. So I think more classes like this, I think kids, teenagers getting out of high school or, getting into college, I think that would be very beneficial for them once they graduate from college and getting into the workforce. So I really like this idea.
Thank you so much. I certainly do appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen, how can people find out more about you and your organization? Do you have a website, social media, where we can find you?
Yes. So my website is www.b as in boy, y as in yellow, S as in Sam, A as in agency, GENCY.org. So it's BYSagency.org. Also, you can Google Breezy's, BREEZEE ' Youth Staffing Agency. And then you can click on the reviews, read all about me. It'll have the workshop times. And my Facebook, of course, is Breezy's Youth Staffing Agency. And my Instagram is at Breezy's 2018.
Well, that's we got.
If you have any questions for me, you can email me at info@bysagency.org.
But as you guys can see it right there on the screen, it's www.bysagency.org. Check them out. They're doing some great work here. I'm going to try to see if I can get it up on the screen. Also, the agency itself, you guys can find them on social media. Let's see if we can get that up for you here. Oh, there it is. All right. So we may not be able to get that, but you can see it there, bysagency.org. We appreciate you for taking the time out to join us here tonight.
Thank you so much.
And we look forward to seeing you more. We met this young lady at the Women in Business event at the Clayton County Chamber. So those of you young ladies that are in that area, or ladies of any age for that matter, because we had them from, the youth all the way up to senior citizens. So again, if you got some stuff going on the South Side, check out the Women in Business group over there in Clayton County, because they're doing some big things right there. And again, to find out more about Alva and what she's doing there, www.bysagency.org. Alva, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you back again on the Real Talk Sports Show.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Guys, good stuff, right? To see that and to see there's great stuff going on in the community.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I've seen
goodness. That is such a huge need. So I love that she has that because, oh my goodness, we all know how many of our youth can benefit from it. And it's just giving them a head start and helping them learn the things that so many of our youth don't understand.
No doubt. Going on social media, H.C. Hardy said most challenges that youth also have as well is having that professional courage and how to, basically approach a member of management and ask for, an application, and even following up. So again, great stuff she's doing. And he says he wants to connect with her. So brother, I'll put the website back up again for you to see it. It's www.bysa. So bysagency.org, www.bysagency.org. Check them out again. They're also on Facebook as well as the agency name as well. So Breathy's Youth Staffing Agency on Facebook. So check them out. Going back to social media one more time, and Coach Hardy says he's got it. All right, just wanted to make sure. All right, guys, again, you've been listening to the Real Talk Sports Show. We're going to take one more little break here, and we'll be back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere, please. Thank you. We'll be back. Nothing better than the sound of diesel in the morning. And what better place to get high horsepower diesel than the all-new 2020 Ford F-250, now with 475 horsepower and over 1,000 foot-pound of torque. You know where to get it? From me, the minister, Jonathan Simmons at Allen Vigil Ford Commercial Sales. Because you know why? I'm the commercial truck guy in a shirt and tie. The day has arrived. It's time to let more people know about your business. You have the right marketing plan and the messaging in place. But do you have the right messenger? Good advertising and promotions need a professional sound so the message can be clearly understood. Don't leave your brand image to chance. Let our team of voiceover experts at CME lend you a hand. Give us a call at 678-304-8121 to find out how we can partner with you to give your business its voice.
You're muted.
Yeah, you're muted. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Okay. Yeah. So that's my personal hype video. I don't know if you guys know that, but that's all my chronicles of the days gone by when I had a chance to be out and about all over the place. And so now once we get back out, we're going to share, we'll get out with Brian and we'll get out with Trae and we'll all have some fun. Well, speaking of having some fun, I got to take a quick break real here because we have a potential new sponsor here. She's going to be on next week. But I'm going to go ahead and pop this flyer up. Hopefully you guys can see it. Here I am. Okay, I disappeared for a second here. So, yeah, this is going to be on next Saturday, June the 5th. You can see it right there. It is the Summer Pop-Up Shop Day Party. Now, a lot of people talk about, for those of you who are on the south side of town, a lot of people say, oh, we have to go to Buckhead. We have to go to Midtown to have a stylish venue. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. B. Maury Events Center and Art Center is a spectacular boutique event shop. You can maybe hold about 60 or 70 people there. And it also has multiple rooms, including an outdoor area that's used as a cigar bar, great food. So again, it is going to be on the 5th of June. That's next Saturday. So you guys keep it locked. We're actually going to bring on the young lady that runs the establishment. Her name is Tamari, lovely lady. We're going to have her come on and talk about it in more detail. But yeah, it's going to be off the chain. So hopefully you guys will be able to make it. Yes, we will social distance. Yes, you can wear your mask, but you can sample some of the delicate, fragrant hors d'oeuvres and beverages if you come down and join us. It's going to be from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And I will be assisting WIGO doing a live broadcast. So who knows? We might be able to put you on the air for your 30-second free commercial. That's like free. All right. So again, that's next week. There it is one more time so you guys can see it. There it is, June the 5th, the pop-up day party. All right. So how many of you guys are coming? Let's show a raise of hands. Oh, okay, well. I'm just joking. Listen, I know everybody is concerned about being social distancing. I know Tamari's going to get me. She's going to get on me and say, what happened? But yeah, we will be down there, and we're excited about doing that and being a part of that. So cool stuff. Again, it is a wonderful event, and it's a great venue. Like I said, again, a boutique venue down there. They have a wonderful little art studio there. So if you are looking to do maybe even shoot a TV show, they have like a mini gourmet kitchen there. So you might want to do a cooking show. They have a wonderful lounge area. So you want to do a talk show. All that stuff will be available, and you can meet Tamari there at the event next Saturday, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the B. Murray Events and Art Center in downtown Jonesboro, right on McDonough Road. Check them out. Matter of fact, you can go to our website and click on the link and find out more about it and get your free invite. All right. Well, the other thing that went on, ladies and gentlemen, is something that's been buzzing for a while. Mr. Julio Jones says, I'm out of here. First of all, Trae, I want to go to you. What do you think about the way that kind of transpired with Julio just jumping out saying what he just said? I'm out of here.
I mean, wow. I was very shocked because, we've been hearing about possible trade rumors, and the Falcons were saying, yes, they will listen, but they weren't entertaining them. They pretty much had us thinking that they weren't planning on trading him, that they were just, okay, we're open to listening. And for Julio, someone who said that he wanted to play his entire career for the Atlanta Falcons, and now it's just like you hear it come out of his mouth, I'm out of here. It's like, wow. It honestly, it threw me for a loop because I was not expecting that at all. But when you hear from him, that's pretty much all you need to hear. He doesn't want to play for the Falcons.
Brian, how about you?
So a couple things with me. I think the reason that he said that is with a new coaching staff, I think they're going to put their new philosophies and their new rules in place. And with Julio, he's a guy that, he doesn't practice as much because of the injuries he's been dealing with. So they let him take some time off to heal up and get ready for a game on Sunday. So I think with this new coaching staff led by Arthur Smith, they may not let him get away with that. So, and with the team being kind of in transition, he probably wants to go to a place where he could be where a team that's a Super Bowl contender, whether it's the Baltimore Ravens, the Green Bay Packers, even the New England Patriots, just a team that has a plan established. Also, it's not necessarily surprising, and even if he said that he's out of here, it doesn't necessarily mean the Falcons are going to trade him. They are taking phone calls. They are listening to offers, but it's just a matter of who can come up with the best deal. I heard that they want a first-round pick. That's also in play. So it just depends on what the Falcons like in terms of which team is offering the best deal. Obviously, nothing can be done until after June 1st because they can save up to $15 million in cap space. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think when it's all said and done, I do think they find a trade partner. And while Falcons fans may not like it because he's arguably the best player in Falcons history, I think the Falcons have to look at this as a business perspective and look at it as to how can they build this team for next year and the year after that. So it's going to be a sad day if it does happen. But at the same time, I think it's the best move for the Falcons moving forward.
So Brian Jones holding out hope that, in fact, Julio still might be around. Earlier, Todd, our main man, kind of brought up the same thing, kind of how it went down. He said, hey, Shannon Sharp ambushed Julio on that call. Okay, now, so I'm going to ask you guys, do you think that Julio was really ambushed, or was this something where, you know, these guys have been boys for a minute, that he said, look here, man, I need to put this thing out front and center to speed up the Falcons clock? Trae, Tree, what do you think? You think it was, I'm surprised, or it's the okie doke?
Yeah, so I must say I have not heard the podcast. I've only heard what was said. But do I think he was ambushed? No, because regardless of what anybody asks you, you answer how you want to answer. So I'm going to say no. I don't think that he was ambushed. People can try to poke you. People can try to probe to get different things out of you. But you only say what you want to say. When you don't want to say something, you don't say it.
I'm just saying that's the same thing I'm feeling here. This idea that, oh, I'm ambushed. Here's what I think about the ambush situation. Let me change my glasses.
Put on the shades.
I'm thinking somebody's trying to throw some shade out there, because at the end of the day, it's like this. You're not going to tell me that Shannon Sharp, which is basically his boy, these guys talk all the time, that Shannon didn't peep him and say, look, okay, man, I'm going to assist you to try to, again, I think this whole idea is to speed the clock up, put more pressure on the Falcons to do what they need to do to get him traded, because apparently, as Brian pointed out earlier, the Falcons have rebuffed multiple offers, including on NFL draft day, because they're trying to hold out for a first-round pick. Now, I get it. Julio is a first-ballot Hall of Famer. That's why I said it, first-ballot Hall of Famer. But at the end of the day, right now, especially, nobody's going to give him a first-rounder. They might be lucky to get a second-rounder, because now it's out. They got to trade him. So at the end of the day, it's either they're going to trade him and get a high second-round pick, or there's also some talk about the idea of them trading, getting a second-round pick and a player of some type. But at the end of the day, as much as I don't like to see it, I think Julio is gone. I think it is some of the temperament. This Arthur Smith is clearly came through with a no-nonsense, kind of the opposite of Dan Quinn. Brian, you talked about the fact that, Julio's a guy that paced himself, especially during the offseason, because the wear and tear on his body. And I think that just look at the demeanor of Coach Smith from what I've seen so far in the interviews, he looks like, again, no-nonsense guy, looks like just like what your dad and mom used to say back in the day, I'm not trying to be your friend, I'm your parent. That's kind of how this guy comes across to me. So if you're used to having things done a certain way and all of a sudden that's not there, yeah, age 32, first ballot Hall of Famer, I guess I'd be trying to leave too. But definitely wasn't no ambush. Yeah, he knew he was on national TV, and this was his way of letting it point known that, hey, I'm out of here, as he said.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about Julio's situation is he's 32 years old. He's coming off an injury where he missed nearly half the season. So it's just going to be a matter of which team, again, as I mentioned, which team is going to make the best offer. And they may not want to give up a first-round pick for a guy who is an older veteran who can still play at a high level, who can still contribute to a Super Bowl contender. So, again, it's going to be really intriguing to see what happens within the next week, just because, I still think there's a chance that he could stay with the Falcons. But at the same time, even if they were to let him go, I don't necessarily think it would be the worst thing, because I think with this offense coming into 2021, they're going to have to rely heavily on running the football, because over the last few years, it's all about Matt Ryan dropping back and throwing it to Julio or Calvin Ridley or whoever, another wide receiver, Russell Gage. I think with the addition of Mike Davis, I think that really helps out Matt Ryan in the sense that they're going to be more focused on running the ball. And that's something that Arthur Smith focused on when he was at the Tennessee Titans as an offensive coordinator, because they're going to have to limit the hits Matt Ryan takes, because he's been hit way too many times these last few years. So if they do trade Julio, number one, they have a number one receiver in Calvin Ridley who played really well last year. So they're not going to be so depleted at the wide receiver position. And I think Russell Gage played well also. And then obviously they drafted Kyle Pitts, and I think if he played like he did at Florida, the Falcons are going to be in a really good place when it comes to the passing game. So if it comes down to them trading Julio, I don't think the Falcons will be in the worst position.
No doubt. Let's go to social media here. Take a look here. My man Todd says this. He says, okay, what if they keep Julio? He's kind of boxed himself in a little bit. I mean, basically he's like, I want to go, but if I can say, okay, we're not going to trade you, then what? And our good friend, offensive coordinator H.C. Hardy says they can possibly restructure and move some of the money to a signing bonus. So, I mean, allegedly Julio has been somewhat inflexible in terms of cutting loose any of his money. And evidently that's where the impasse came from the get-go. But there's no doubt in my mind, when I look at this Falcons team, what I'm seeing is a lot of what I saw in that run from 2008 to 2012. Basically, Brian, you hit it on a little bit. Setting up a play action, a basic offense, having a big tight end target that Matt can look to as an emergency escape, i.e. like he had in the legendary Tony Gonzalez. Obviously, Kyle Pitts has got a long way to go before he gets to that, but clearly has this apparent skill sets to do that. And if people remember back in 2011, when in fact they decided to draft Julio Jones, giving up 3 or 4 picks, Roddy White was the exact same age. It was basically coming off the exact same type of season that Julio was coming off when they drafted Calvin Ridley. He was coming off a Pro Bowl season, one of his better seasons. They bring in Ridley. He was 20, I think he was 28 or 29 at the time, and Roddy White was the same way. So the Falcons have kind of planned this out. As much as Arthur Blank put the curse on Julio, now y'all saying what kind of curse he put? The Arthur Blank, when he says you're gonna be a Falcon forever, dude, you gone. Because he said that Michael Vick, he said the only way Michael Vick leaves is in a box. Well, how'd that work out? And he said Julio Jones is gonna be a Falcons for life. Well, how'd that work out? I'm just saying. So at the end of the day, that's it. All right, let's go here to once again social media. Our man Todd says that D-Led said on the AJC they can keep Julio and restructure Grady. So, I mean, what now, Tree? I don't know if you've been in a situation before. Have you been on a team where a teammate had just basically not wanted to be there and you guys had to play with him anyway?
Yes. And let me tell you, it's horrible. So what they say, one bad apple can spoil the bunch. Yes, It can. It's the hardest thing when you're coming to practice every day and you're busting your tail, giving 110%, and there's somebody there that just really acts like they could care less. They're working hard. And so you suffer the consequences. The whole team suffers.
Wow. Hey, Brian, you saw that as soon as I met you, you said, oh, yeah, I've been down that road. Let's go back to social media. Again, our offensive coordinator. And actually, guys, I want to give him a big shout out. He's a manager over at DNK Suit Cities, and they partner with us. And we're going to be doing the giveaway before the year is out. But we're also going to be doing more next year. He was wonderful to give some gift certificates to give the young men as they were players of the week. He said, with the acquisition of Patterson and former Titan Tajay Sharp, that Nose Smith system is going to be prevalent, that he's out of here. Look, I mean, this is nothing new. I mean, we don't like it because Julio has made so many highlights. And, of course, now everybody, ESPN, everybody's running the highlights of Julio's great catches, the great catch in the Super Bowl, the great catch that he had over the great Carolina linebacker. I can't even think of his name right now. I'm drawing a blank. Luke Kuechly. Right, the 300-yard game that he had where Matt threw for 500 and Julio had, I think it was 15 receptions for 300 yards. But at the end of the day, I mean, Julio has been, if we think about it, all of our big three, Matt, Julio, and before it was Devontae Freeman, all them guys, once they got to the Super Bowl, they were like, hey, it's out for us. Matt didn't do what other quarterbacks do, take a little less, try to restructure. I mean, he's restructured, but he never tried to take less in his contract. Devontae Freeman had his people saying we should be the highest paid running back in the league. And then Julio did the same thing after he just signed a contract the year before. So I don't know why Falcons fans should be in any way expecting anything different. These guys are businessmen. They understand that, hey, I'm going to get my money while I can get it. And that's really it. I mean, there's no date. I mean, Julio's talking about going to a winner, but where's he going to go? I mean, what team is going to give the Falcons that's a winning team or chop for the Super Bowl is going to give the Falcons what they want outside of maybe the Ravens?
That's the only team I see. So I really don't know who's interested, who's willing to give up a first-round pick or more when it comes to Super Bowl contenders. So that's why I say it's possible that he could be with the Falcons in 2021. So, but I think there's going to be – I think the Falcons are going to get a lot of calls between now and June 1st, and we could see something we could hear something by June 2nd. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Let's go here to social media again. Our man, Mr. Hardy, says he has a feeling that former Falcons scout and LA GM Les Snead is definitely calling. Think about Stafford and the combination of him and Julio. Yeah, that would be, because that's one thing. Stafford got a big arm, and
he does. Great quarterback.
And they have a strong receiving core too, and Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks was there last year. So, if I was the Rams, I would at least make a phone call.
And listen, I'm sure all these guys have. I mean, because think about it. Julio is going to be able to take the top off, even at his advanced age. He's going to be able to take top off of any defense that's out there. He still has the ability to get deep on people. And the other thing too is, man, this guy is still a guy who can make the big catches in double and triple coverage. So, yeah, I think it's going to be all hands on deck with as many people firing stuff. And I think we're going to be shocked at what finally turns out to be the deal that, makes the day for the Falcons. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what all comes from this. I mean, but I think, like I said, again, they're making this team what they did back that 08 to 2012 run, an average to just below average defense. And an offense that once they get the lead, hopefully can control the ball a little bit better by having a decent running game. Let's go back to social media. Of course, our man Todd can't let it go. Todd says, hey, Coach Smith was on TV today, and he looks mad, mostly anyway. But with Julio talking, he looked really mad. I'm going to tell you something. Todd's got something about Coach Smith. He don't like him. Because, and listen.
People don't.
A
lot of people don't.
Right. Yeah. But, I mean, because the guy he does come off a little snarky. I mean, he really does. I mean, and I guess for a guy that hasn't won anything yet, people are not so ready to put up with that. You can be snarky if you win, but
really?
Yes.
I was just asking.
Well, I mean, okay. Let's think about this. Okay, let's think about some winners. How about Bill Belichick?
I knew that's who you were going to say.
Well, then what you asked me for, darn it. Okay, so Bill Belichick.
Even with him, he's still he's not just a jerk when you interview him. At least not that I've seen.
Well, in the press conferences, he's going to cut you off. Okay, let's go with another guy right here locally. A lot of fans didn't like this guy either, but he went to 3 Orange Bowls with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Coach Johnson, Paul Johnson, was snarky, but he won. Technically speaking, Bill Parcells could be a little snarky.
Yeah.
But he was a winner. People, even what was the coach at Indiana for years? Coach
Bobby Knight.
Bobby Knight. Now, that's the ultimate snarky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But people let the guy go because he went. And I'm going to tell you something. As bad as this guy is.
I guess you have a point.
Even the previous Coach Smith, because Coach Smith, I don't want to throw any shade at you, sir, but you had to be forced to do an interview with Real Talk Sports. You were going to bypass me until they made you do an interview. But I'm just saying. All right, let's go back to social media here. H.C. Hardy said, hey, the Rams would definitely be a good fit. He'd like to see the showdown Rams and Seahawks, Julio against Metcalf. Yeah, Metcalf is what Julio used to be when he was completely healthy. He also says, hey, Smith's demeanor is like Bobby Ross when he was at Detroit. Oh, snap. He went to the Detroit comparison. Uh-oh.
Detroit.
And there it is. He said, Coach Smith comes off as he's the smartest dude in the room. Brian, first of all, let me ask you a question. Have you had a chance to do any of the press junkets with him yet at this point?
No, not yet, and I really haven't got a really chance to, really listen to him talk.
Yep.
I know he comes from a prestigious family because his father is the founder of FedEx. So he's a guy that has worked for everything he's gotten. He's hasn't been handed anything. He's worked up the coaching ranks to get to where he is. And he might come across as snarky as the smartest guy in the room, but as long as he gets results, and I think he will get results with the Falcons, I don't think most people will be bothered by it because I think ultimately they're just relieved with a change because Dan Quinn was just not getting the job done. And, ever since the Super Bowl loss, things have just gone downhill. And I just think they have nowhere to go but up. And I think with the way that Arthur Smith ran that offense in Tennessee, I think that could really be beneficial. And then you get a guy in Dean Pease, who's one of the more respected defensive coordinators in all of the NFL. The Falcons don't have the personnel defensively in terms of where they want to be, but I think changing the philosophy will really be beneficial because he's a guy that's very aggressive. They like to blitz a lot, and I think they're going to need that because the Falcons are a team that doesn't have elite pass rushers. So I like this coaching staff. I like what the Falcons done personnel-wise. And I'm really interested to see how they do in 2021, especially they don't necessarily have a difficult schedule. And then with the 17th game at it, they have probably had a chance to do some big things. So I believe in Coach Smith and what he can do for the Falcons this upcoming season.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be very interesting. Like I said, again, it's really not that hard. I mean, at the end of the day, for the last 3 or 4 years, Tree, I'm sure you've heard it as well, everybody said this Falcons team has had a team as it's constructed that's good enough to be a postseason contender and go deep into the playoffs. They said that even after they got that debacle of the Super Bowl. So we know that the pieces are in place. That's why they brought in a guy that said, I'm not going to blow it up. That's why, whether we like it or don't like it, that's why they did not bring in Justin Fields, because they said what we're going to do is we're going to try to see if while Arthur Blank still owns the team, that we can make another run at postseason. Let's go to our man Todd again. And Brian, Todd said he got your back. He said he better be nice to you, bro. He said because Brian's a nice guy.
I appreciate that, Todd.
And that's the truth. Brian is a nice guy, so we want him to be taken care of where he goes. So Todd, good looking, buddy. So at the end of the day, man, we just everybody wants a winner. And again, it's to some degree, if you look at now, Nate McMillan is not snarky, but I mean, he just kind of is. He's the opposite of Coach Smith. He's very candid about everything. He's just going to tell you where it is. He's not going to try to hide anything. He doesn't use coach speak. And there was a minute there where I know Tree will say no, but her boy John Collins was in his feelings for a little bit. I'm just saying he was in his feelings. And Coach McMillan had to find a way to get John to elevate his game and to say basically, hey, and he said it. He said, I got everybody. I want everybody to understand it's a team, because there was talk about why did he bench Trae in the final period? Why did he bench John Collins? He said, look, man, it's a team, and who's ever playing the best at the time, that's who I'm going to play. And that normally you don't hear coaches say that. They give you some kind of, we're trying to do this. And nope, he just look at, man, these guys were playing the best. And eventually, John Collins got over it, and he became the coolest cat in town. And now he reminds you of the John Collins that we saw before. Happy guy, very energetic. Interesting, he said something today that I saw on ESPN. He once again, not in his feelings, but he said this, rare. He said, I don't know how many more times I can say I want to stay here in Atlanta with the Hawks. Now, that normally players don't do that. I'm going to go test the waters, but he's made it plain so that fans know that if anything happens where he doesn't get signed, it's not because of him.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, what do you think?
I already know that.
I get a close up on that. Yeah, she's.
Well, no, it's true. I mean, we already know that he wants to stay, and hopefully the Hawks will keep him because he is a fantastic addition to our team, and they need to pay the man. They need to sign his contract so that he can stay here. I mean, just a phenomenal player. He's a great addition to the team, and I think that if they let him go, that would be a big mistake.
You done took. I'm a big shout out here. I hope you're watching on Twitter, Miss D. You hear this? The Queen has got your moniker. I know you changed your Twitter handle to Pay the Man. Even the Queen says the same thing. Pay the man.
Pay the man.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, look, if you look at this situation, it's always the same thing with Atlanta teams. It's always this big angst. All our guys not worth a max contract. Okay, well, at the end of the day, this guy has done everything he's never done. Guys, if you want to get a better feel for this, go to our YouTube page and click on the Trae Young and John Collins picture. You'll see it right there, and it talks about these two guys and what they've done. And John talks about the fact that, he was here. I mean, he's the guy that got here first. He was kind of the start of the building program, and he said it's what a joy it is for him to have Trae join him. And now for the first time, this team being back in the playoffs, now this team being able to celebrate with the fans, because for those of you who didn't know, breaking news, the Hawks for the playoffs have gone to full capacity. It's going to be wide open at Phillips Arena. So if you want to go to the game, they're going to have wide open situation. Now, I will tell you, you're going to pay their money. I went on and looked at the last price I saw for nosebleed tickets were starting at $100.
Oh, of course. It's the playoffs.
Yeah.
The price goes up for the playoffs.
We got you. We got it. We got you. We understand that. I mean, but I'm just letting people know the good news is full capacity. I think the Hawks saw what happened in Madison Square Garden and the difference the atmosphere was. All the players talked about the same thing. That just playing in front of real fans, that many fans, was just off the chain. Let's go back now to social media. We have Coach Hardy here. He says, during the past few years, Falcons had Justin Hardy, Harry Douglas, etc., but they were no threat to Julio until Ridley was drafted. Then he said, and Ridley stepped up, and kind of like Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, but Rodgers let his play speak for himself. I mean, I don't know how to really answer that. I mean, he's throwing some shade at Julio or what's up with that, but I mean, what do you guys think, Trae? I mean, do you think that Julio is feeling some kind of way because of Ridley?
I doubt it.
Brian?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think because both of those guys being from Alabama, they built a really strong relationship. It's kind of like when Roddy White and Julio Jones were here. I think it's the same thing. Julio was a good mentor for Calvin Ridley, just like Roddy White was a good mentor for Julio. So I think it's kind of those same things. But, he's right. I think Calvin has really stepped up his game because he knew he had to in the second half of the year. And I think if they do trade Julio, Calvin can step up and be that number one receiver. And I think he can make an immediate impact and be a playmaker for the Falcons just like he was last year. So, again, the Falcons are in a position where even where they trade Julio, they should be all right when it comes to receiving game because as we mentioned earlier, they added Tajay Sharp, had some good years with the Titans, spent last season with the Vikings, but he knows Arthur Smith's system. And then they have Cordell Patterson. I like this addition simply because he can play wide receiver, running back, punt returner, kick returner. He can do a number of things. So I think the Falcons are going to be okay when it comes to the wide receiver position.
Look, man, nobody worried about this whole thing. The Falcons are stacked at wide receiver. You got a young man coming in that, potentially could be a top quality tight end, even giving you what Waller gives you out in Oakland. Not necessarily the first year, but this guy comes off. He can be a 60-catch guy immediately. You talk about Calvin Ridley. The realities are, whether Julio fans like it or not, whether we like it or not, there was a stretch of season where Julio was out and Calvin Ridley balled out. So I'm just saying, I mean, I don't know what, oh, wait a minute. I have to go to social media. Breaking news, Todd destroying the Heat. First of all, he says, how will Falcons fans feel if Julio goes to them Saints? Who that? And then he says that Julio is tired of Matt Ryan's weak arm.
Oh, here we go.
He says Matt can't throw the deep ball. It always flutters. And our friend Coach Hardy said, plus, of course, the Falcons will exercise Ridley's fifth-year option next year. So, okay, there's a couple of things that are thrown out there. First of all, this has been a long-standing argument that Matt's arm is weak. Brian, I saw you chuckle. What do you think about those statements about Ryan's arm?
I hear these comments about Matt Ryan quite a bit over the years, and while he might not have the strongest arm, I'm more worried about his accuracy. I'm more worried about his pocket presence, just getting the job done, game in and game out. Look, I'll say this: Matt Ryan has never been a great quarterback or an elite quarterback. He's been a good quarterback who's had some great seasons, and he's been fairly consistent because of, when you look at his career, he's going to throw over 4,000 yards. He's going to have at least 25, maybe 30 touchdowns. He's just a guy that can get the job done. And having a good, consistent quarterback is good enough to win you NFL games. The problem for Matt Ryan is he's never had an elite defense. When you go back to the Super Bowl season 2016, that defense wasn't great. They improved. They weren't necessarily great. But he's been able to be consistent, help this team have the best decade in the franchise's history, 2010's decade. He came into, when he was drafted, the Falcons didn't have a quarterback because that was Michael Vick, didn't have a head coach, didn't have a GM. They were just a team in shambles, and he was able to come in and turn this franchise around right away. I know that Julio Jones is the best player in Falcons history. I don't know if there's a player more valuable. You're talking about the franchise's history than Matt Ryan, because he's by far the best quarterback this franchise has ever had. And what he's been able to do over his career, that can't be ignored. And I'm afraid what's going to happen is people are going to look at what he's done these last few years and overlook what he's done his entire career. So I get why people are critical of Matt Ryan, but I hope they respect what he's done throughout his entire career with the Falcons.
Well, as you can see, I brought Julio into the program. I want him to go ahead and make sure he was seen as we talked about him. So, but yeah, listen. At the end of the day, man, it's like this. I know people like to hate on Matt Ryan, and we throw all kind of shades on the guy. But the realities are, Matt basically is about 4 or 5 plays away in his career from being a guy that would have been elevated from a pretty good quarterback to a darn good quarterback and possibly Hall of Famer. He made a couple of terrible turnovers in the championship game against San Francisco, which cost them the ability to go to the Super Bowl the first time. And certainly his inability to avoid a sack on 3rd down and 12 when you had the ball in field goal position is almost inexcusable. That's the kind of play that, especially an MVP quarterback, even if you say, hey, he didn't audible out of the play, hey, he was mad that they called a run, you just can't let yourself in that kind of position, be sacked. So, again, we're talking about a 14-year career, and 3 or 4 plays basically changed the whole narrative about what we think about this guy. And I don't know about you, but most people would sign up for the idea of saying, hey, look, in my career, I was 3 or 4 plays away from being a Hall of Famer. And here's the thing. If the Falcons somehow win a Super Bowl in the next year or two, Matt Ryan will go to the Hall of Fame. You say, brother, you can't. Well, here's why. Every quarterback that's won an MVP during the regular season and went to the Super Bowl, guess where they be at? They're in Kent. So Matt would join them as well. Just saying. All right, one more time to social media before we get this thing wrapped up. Our good friend is giving Todd some kudos. He said, preach, Todd. Okay, well, that's good. We see that. And then he says also here as well, he says the White House get the job done as well. He should look at Julio, Ridley, et cetera. Runs after the catch, all that kind of stuff. He said he can throw an accurate 10-yard strike, and Julio can take it 60 yards for a touchdown. He also says, okay, he said, let's go to Walmart, start selling the he's out of here, I'm out of here shirts. I think we make some money.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we got to get the last word on social media from our man Todd. He says Matt is a chain mover. Matt shows up game after game, but he lacks the it factor when it comes to key plays that can be made in big games. But the national media love Matt. He's going to
the Hall.
Oh, listen. I don't know if they love him that much because
I don't know either.
Yeah, because Brian, you said something which I really didn't realize until I kind of dialed back and looked at the NFL Top 100. The statement you made earlier was you said Matt has been a very good quarterback that's had some great years. And no better way to gauge this than to look at the NFL Top 100. Since its existence, Matt Ryan has had, I think, 4 or 5 appearances on the NFL 100. All of those times were the years that he was a top 3 quarterback in terms of statistics. And the Falcons went into the playoffs, and in some cases, the deep run into the playoffs. But the rest of the time, I think he had 4 or 5 times in his 14-year career. He didn't even make the top 100. Now, this is something that's done by his peers. Whereas Julio, he only had in the last couple of years times that he wasn't even in the top 5. So we get it. We know Julio's a different kind of guy. He's a stud. But at the end of the day, I mean, Matt came in when this franchise was dead in the water. They had scandal. They would come off the Mike Vick situation. They would come off the Bobby Petrino situation, and he stabilized this franchise. So whether you like him or not, the bottom line is that he's won, and he's won more than any other Falcon quarterback in history, including number 7, who we all love.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying. All right, guys, you know what time it is. Dun, 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 dun. It's time to wrap it up. I can't believe it. All right, so you know how we do it, boys and girls. We always go around the horn to let our guests tell you more about themselves. And then when we do that, we have them on the screen all alone. So, Brian Jones, the floor is yours.
I appreciate it. Guys, you can find me on popculture.com under trending sports and entertainment writer. Got some interviews coming up. I'm going to be interviewing Tate Diggs on Thursday. You know him from All-American, a really great football series. So be sure to check that story out probably sometime next week. Again, that's popculture.com and popculture.com/sports. You can also follow me on Twitter. That's at @BrianJones_PC. And I also have a podcast. It's called Always Football Season. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts. I have a Facebook page for the podcast, which is facebook.com/Always Football Season. And you can also follow me on Instagram. That's the handle for that is Brian_L_Jones.
And we got that on the screen. Amen. All right, we got, they had to say one more thing here. They're saying Atlanta fans are like Janet Jackson's song, "What Have You Done For Me Lately?"
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. All right, well, Brian, as always, man, we appreciate you for joining us, man. We look forward to having you back on again with us real soon. All right, man.
All right, see you guys.
All right, we have the queen. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. First, I have to say it's May. It's Brain Cancer Awareness Month. You see me wearing my gray, so go gray for a cure. And also, I have these awesome bracelets that I'm selling, and you'll see these and these for the men or unisex. And all of the money raised goes to life-saving brain cancer research, and you can find those at shopgograyforacure.org. Again, you can get those at shopgograyforacure.org, and you can find me on social media at It's Latresa and also at Ms. America International 2020. And I also wanted to show you, come here, Sparkle, come here. Look at her pretty purple bow. Come here. Yes, come show everybody your pretty bow. Yeah, look at the pretty bow. She has a pretty purple butterfly. Isn't that so cute? Oh, yay. Okay.
Not too shabby. There you go. All right, guys. Look, I got all kinds of things going blocking my face. There we go. All right, everybody. We appreciate you. Remember, you can follow me anywhere on social media. Right here. You see, actually follow the show at Real Talk Sports 7. Once again, I have the wrong email up there. That should be jsimmons@realtalksports.net, not .com. Again, we appreciate all those of you who are watching the program, and we hope, in fact, that you will follow us on social media. Let me put up my personal handle. I have it here somewhere. You can follow me at Minister J Sim. I'll pop that on the screen for you. Bam! There it is, at Minister J Sim right there. Or you can also, please go to our YouTube page if you could. And there's our YouTube thing, Real Talk Sports TV. If you need to reach me by phone, you can give me a call on the cell, 678-410-9833. And again, subscribe to YouTube by the Real Talk Sports Show. All right, guys, I am a real live minister. So before I go, I want to ask you the simple question. Do you know the Lord Jesus Christ is your personal Savior? I will tell you, please, ma'am, please, sir, if you don't know him, get to know him today. And you probably say, why is that? Why? Because nobody Absolutely nobody loves you like Jesus. Not your mom, not your auntie, not grandmama and them, not your bae, not your boo, not your BFF. Nobody loves you like him. Why? Because he died for you. But the good news is that even though he died a horrific death on the cross, he was risen from the dead. And what that means is that you now can have a relationship with God, and you can now find yourself when you leave here in a happy place called heaven by doing the following things. Repent of your sins, believe that Jesus came here fully man, fully God, and paid the one-time penalty for your sins. And that now, because he was risen from the dead, all you have to do is believe that and tell somebody, and bam, two things happen. Number one, you become a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. And number two, and more importantly, you become an adopted child of God and have all the rights therein. And what are those rights? That means that now you can go to God in prayer yourself. You don't need a pastor. You don't need a deacon. You don't need a prayer warrior. You don't need a monsignor or a bishop. You can go to God directly and ask him for anything in the name of Jesus Christ. And according to his will, it will be granted unto you. And last but not least, when you leave here, you get to go to a happy place called heaven, where there's going to be no more pain, no more pandemics, no more bad people, no more protests of any type, just sun, and I dare say even some fun, as you get a chance to dwell amongst all those people that have gone on before you. And more importantly, you get to spend time with God and Jesus themselves for eternity. And you avoid that terrible place called hell, where all the things that are in heaven won't be in hell. So all you got bad people, lots of problems, lots of pain, darkness, anguish, and you'll be separated from God forever and a day. How about you? I like option number one instead of option number two. All right, guys, listen, we appreciate you so much for joining us. On behalf of myself and the Queen, we say, God bless you and good night.